Moments after Sharad Pawar sacks Tatkare from party, Ajit Pawar camp appoints Sunil Tatkare as the NCP state president. On being questioned who will be the NCP president, Ajit Pawar says Sharad Pawar is the party's national president. Speaker meets Fadnavis now in assembly set to discuss disqualification petitions. After Sharad Pawar's loyalist dumps him, Pawar pledges to rebuild NCP from scratch. Lalu Prasad Yadav, Rabri Devi and Tejasvi Prasad Yadav charge sheeted by CBI in land for job scam. The Parliamentary Panel on Law held an important meeting on the issue of the Uniform Civil Code today in the National Capital. The Standing Committee headed by BJP parliamentarian Sushil Modi has called representatives of the Law Commission and the Law Ministry on a recent notice issued by the Law Panel seeking views of stakeholders on the issue of a Uniform Civil Code. Now, according to the schedule of the Standing Committee on the Law and Personal, it has to hear the views of the representatives of the Law Panel and Legal Affairs and Legislative Departments of the Law Ministry on public notice issued by the Law Commission of India on 14th of June, inviting views from various stakeholders on the Uniform Civil Code under the subject of review of personal laws. A short while back, BJP parliamentarian, senior advocate Mahesh Jethmalani spoke to my colleague Harsha. Listen in. Not just that, we also have a BSP parliamentarian who was part of the meeting, also speaking to Republic TV, and Sushil Modi too spoke to Republic TV earlier in the day. We'll play out all the three interviews on the biggest story tonight.
No, see, the meeting was a presentation by the Department of Justice and members of the Law Ministry. Yes, it had nothing to do with, it was basically, they had told us about the previous report of the 21st Law Commission on the UCC. And then they had received a notification from the government saying, because the first Law Commission report was not a final report, it was only it was not even a recommendation. It was basically just a status report. So the government had then asked to appoint it as 22nd Law Commission. And that 22nd Law Commission has now received, asked the ministry to invite members of the public, stakeholders, for any suggestions they may have regarding the UCC. And the closing date for those suggestions is 13 July. And as of today, they've received 19 lakh suggestions. Now, really speaking, there was near unanimity that there is nothing wrong. This was my reading of the entire situation. About 7 members of the committee spoke, right? Including myself. And there was unanimity that the UCC is a good thing, but some members were of the opinion that it should not be pushed in undue haste. That's all. That the UCC, but ultimately, look, it's a constitutional directive principle. So I don't think anybody can seriously object to the fact that a UCC should be implemented by the government. Nobody can say that the government is wrong in implementing the UCC. But the few members who raised a few objections were not in the nature of opposing UCC in itself, but saying that there should be careful discussion and this shouldn't be done just for the sake of elections and announcing something for the sake of the elections. It should be considered carefully, and that's fair enough. The consultations have been going on for 3 years now regarding the UCC. Even the 21st Law Commission, which was appointed in 2016, so it's almost 7 years now that this is an ongoing issue. So that's fair enough, and by 13 July, all stakeholders would have, put their submissions in, their recommendations, their suggestions, their objections, and I don't see why it can't be implemented before the next election, the UCC.
So one more thing, in 2018, we remember the 21st Law Commission, when it submitted its report, it clearly stated that this UCC, implementation of UCC, it is neither advisable and neither it is beneficial and neither is it desirable for the society. Do you think this 22nd Law Commission, because All India Muslim Personal Law Board has also been opposing, the suggestions which this present Law Commission has been taking, they are continuously reiterating about the 21st Law Commission. Was anything discussed in this regards also in the meeting today?
Yes, I mean, but the fact of the matter is that, all members should familiarize themselves. In fact, all members of parliament should familiarize themselves with the debates that took place in the Constituent Assembly on the UCC. There were many objections raised, much of which are being raised even today. That there's diversity and so on and so forth. And, the answers of the members of the Constituent Assembly, Aligarh Swami Iyer and, K.M. Munshi and Dr. Ambedkar himself, was all that, look, all we are trying to do is, there's a common criminal code, there's a common civil procedure code, there's a common evidence. We are trying to get a common civil code that is only pertaining to matters relating to marriage, succession, adoption, maintenance. That's all. And it should be the lowest common denominator for all religions should be easy to find. After all, these are all matters for upliftment, and these are all humanitarian issues of children, who should get custody, should there be adoption. For instance, the Muslim community doesn't recognize adoption. All those kind of things. What should be the status of women in succession?
The property and everything.
So those are the only issues remaining. I mean, they would, as K.M. Munshi said during the Constituent Assemblies, that, if we followed the Hindu codes then in existence, right, we would not be able to have any upliftment of women to the extent we've had in those days, which is 1950. So if it wasn't for that, if you go strictly by religious prescriptions, you'll never get upliftment of women. I mean, under the old Hindu law, there was no right of succession. It was recognized in 2005. So, you can't be bound to prevent. The whole purpose of the Uniform Civil Code is that those aspects of religion which require reform should be allowed to be reformed.